I am now going to start another file, which is to all electors in Australia, and this is another page from that file, and this one is about the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act, Chapter 2, the Executive Government. Section 61. The executive power of the Commonwealth is vested, that's the authority, in the Queen, and is exercisable by the Governor-General as the Queen's representative, and extends to the execution and maintenance of this Constitution and of the laws of the Commonwealth. Now, I wonder why they put the words and of. What it means is that and is a conjunction which joins two parts of the sentence together. And of is a connector which joins its noun with the previous noun. So we've got what came before of, what became before and what became after makes it as one connection. Whilst of is a connector of nouns, which means we've got the Commonwealth, laws, and Constitution. That means what it says. No High Court or Supreme Court can change that. So my quote under that, I have my quotes here as well. Position of Governor-General is the cornerstone of the Constitution and of the Parliament and of the High Court, judges and commissions, not the Prime Minister. Where does it allow for the executive government? That's the executive government to have any authority to initiate any legislation and or sit on the front bench. Nothing about it at all. Section 62. There shall be a Federal Executive Council to advise the Governor-General in the government of the Commonwealth, and the members of the council shall be chosen and summoned. Now, in a court, that means that you are, in a summons, you are commanded to appear. Now, this is what they're saying in Section 62. The Governor-General is commanding these people to appear by the Governor-General and sworn as executive councillors, and shall hold office and during his pleasure, and shall hold office during his pleasure. Pleasure means command. It's just a nice way of saying it by using the word pleasure. So they are there under the command of the Governor-General, not the way they have it today in the government today. It is not a government based on the Constitution. Section, the Governor-General should represent the living soul of Australia. That's the electors, that's you. That's you rather. I'm pointing up here, but that's the camera down there. Now, members of the Federal Executive Council should be chosen from the general public. The living souls may then meet with members of the Executive Council. That is, you and me can then meet with these people in the Executive Council, being one of us, equal to our peers. You catch on? So, the Governor-General to issue the writ to initiate a referendum, that is CIR, Citizens Initiated Referendum, CIR. You know that has always been there. and I have included that in my draft or update of the Constitution. But I do it this way because people always look up to authority. Section 63, provisions of this Constitution referring to the Governor-General in Council shall be construed as referring to the Governor-General acting with the advice of the Federal Executive Council. That's if you do it my way, you would have them meeting with people of your own peers, equal to yourselves. Not the way it is done now. The members of Parliament should not be part of that. Generally speaking, they should have only one job, the representatives in Parliament only. Section 64, the Governor-General may appoint officers to administer such departments of state of the Commonwealth as the Governor-General in Council may establish, not by the Prime Minister. That says here quite clearly, they are established by the Governor-General. Such officers shall hold office during the pleasure, here we go again, command of the Governor-General. They shall be members of the Federal Executive Council and shall be the Queen's Ministers of State for the Commonwealth. The Queen's Ministers of State for the Commonwealth, not the Prime Minister's government. After the first general election, no Minister of State shall hold office for a longer period than 3 months, unless he is or becomes a senator or a member of the House of Representatives. My quote, based on Section 1 and Section 62, 63, 64 and 65 of the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution, there has never been in Australia a government and parliament based on the Constitution since 1900. And no legislation has stated in the text of the legislation that it relates to a subsection of Section 5.1. It hasn't. It has never been made to relate to any one of those sections, which is powers of the Parliament. Section 5.1 is powers of the Parliament. It is your Parliament. My quote, based on Section 61, 62, now, political parties appoint their leader, and if elected, the Governor-General, who has no authority, then swears in the political party leader as the Prime Minister, and each member of the Senate, and each member of the House of Representatives. Now, to take their seats in the now unconstitutional Parliament of no authority. The unconstitutional Prime Minister then appoints officers to administer such departments the media claim to be the Prime Minister's government. The Prime Minister's government. Would you believe it? This is the opposite of Section 62 and 64. To have true balance of power, no member of Parliament should be chosen. These words should be deleted from Section 64, which says, unless he is or becomes a senator or a member of the House of Representatives. That's what I have done in my draft or update of the Constitution. I have done that. This means the Governor-General can appoint any elector subject to Section 64. After the first general election, no Minister of State shall hold office for a longer period than 3 months. So that means that he can appoint any one of us, any one of you who are here, who are looking at this, or anyone in Australia. He can appoint any one of those people to be part of the Executive Council. That's the same as, much the same as Section 80, which refers that the jury shall be equal people to you. And the same thing should apply to this, what I've just read, where the executive councillors should be also equal to us, the people, not the Parliament. the Parliament should not have any part of the council. That's where we can be the referee, where we can judge, tell these people what to do, and if they step out of line, then we can take them to court, subject to the judicature. Chapter 3, Section 75 through to Section 77. And then, if it involves the different states, we can use Section 117. Okay, and those all hook up together. So, look at my website, http://www.peoplesmandate, don't forget the S, People's Mandate, one word, .inet.net.au, and click on the files such as the contempt of the Constitution, and here you will see the real facts of what is happening, which is not subject to the Constitution, and you will see these files. You can also see this particular file on there as well, and whilst you're at it, I have links there that can bring up this file so you can view them yourself. That one is one of them, and this one called Victoria Gate. Now that's a very important file because it involves the constitutions of the state of Victoria. That's why it's called Victoria Gate, because that's what they've been doing. They have been ignoring these constitutions, setting up their own little constitutions that suits them. And if you look at the existing 1975 constitution, it is riddled with appeals and alterations. And under Section 106 of the Constitution, that Constitution should be subject to Section 128, where they come to us people. They come to us people to allow for those alterations, but they don't. So that means, in my opinion, that the 1975 Victorian Constitution is null and void, and that means, if it is null and void, that all these laws and commissions and whatever would be not constitutional, would not be legal. If it's not constitutional, it's not legal. But I wonder how many judges would allow that to occur, to agree with you as a person who's challenging these things. How many of those judges would go along with it? We shall have to go to the Parliament, get a group together, so we can challenge the Parliament. I think my time is up, and hope this is worthy of your attention.